All right, this is going to start our geometry section. Lines, vocabulary. Parallel, two lines that do not intersect. This is the symbol for parallel lines. An example would be a ladder. The rails on a ladder in all directions are parallel. Perpendicular, two lines that intersect to form a right angle, remember, is a 90-degree angle, and it's an upside down capital T. That's the symbol for perpendicular. An example is a four-way street intersection. Another vocabulary word is transversal. It's a line that intersects two or more lines. So here are two lines, A and B, and line C is a transversal. Interior angles. They lie inside the lines. So in between lines B and C, there are four angles, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are called interior angles. Exterior angles are the opposite. They lie outside the lines. Angles 1, 2, 7, and 8 are outside of lines A and B. Alternate interior angles. Alternate means on either side. Interior means on the inside. So these are inside angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal. Same picture. Here's the transversal. Angle 3 and angle 6 are in between lines A and B and on opposite sides of the transversal. Similarly, angle 4 and 5 are in between lines A and B and on opposite sides of the transversal. If these two lines, A and B, are parallel, then alternate interior angles are congruent. And congruent just is a fancy word that means equals. So if lines A and B are parallel, never touching, then angle 3 and angle 6 have exactly the same angle measure. And angle 4 and angle 5 also have exactly the same angle measure. Alternate exterior angles are outside angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal. Angles 1 and 8. Angle 1 and angle 8 are on opposite sides of the transversal, and they are outside of lines A and B. Angle 2 and angle 7 are on opposite sides of the transversal and outside of lines A and B. Again, if lines A and B are parallel, then alternate exterior angles are also congruent. Corresponding angles. Angles that are in the same position on the two lines in relation to the transversal. In the same position. So, do you look at angle 1? Here's angle 1. It is above line A, and it's on the left side of the transversal. Look at angle 5. It is above line B and on the left side of the transversal. Those angles are called corresponding angles. Angles 2 and 6. Angle 2 is on the right side of the transversal above line A. Angle 6 is on the right side of the transversal above line B. They are in the same position on the two lines and in relation to the transversal. You can do the same thing for the other two examples. Supplementary angles, you've probably heard of these before. There are two angles that measures sum to equal 180 degrees. It means if you add the two angles together, you will get 180 degrees. If these angles are side by side, they form a straight line. Angle 1 and 2, side by side, they form the line A. Angle 1 and angle 3, they are side by side over here and form a straight line. And angle 1 and 7, look carefully, angle 1 and angle 7 are supplementary. If you slid them next to each other and cut out the middle piece, angle 3 and 5, you would see that these angles are also going to add to give you 180 degrees. And here's our example problem. Suppose measure of angle 1 is equal to 50 degrees. When you see the little M, that means the measure. Find the other angle measures. So here we have our picture, and at the bottom we're given that A is parallel to B. Lines A and B are parallel. So that means alternate interior angles are congruent, alternate exterior angles are congruent, and corresponding angles are also congruent. Very important. All right, measure of angle 1 is 50. Measure of angle 1 is 50. Now, angle 1 is supplementary to angle 2, which means 1 plus 2 would give us 180. So if I say 180 minus 50, I get 130. So now I know angle 2 is 130 degrees. Now let's match up the ones that I know. Angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are congruent. Angle 2 and angle 6 are corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are congruent. Angles 3 and 5 are, angles 4 and 5 are alternate interior angles, and alternate interior angles are congruent. Angles 3 and 6 are alternate interior angles, and those are also congruent. Angle 2 and angle 7 are alternate exterior angles, and those are congruent. And angle 1 and angle 8 are alternate exterior angles, and those are also congruent. All right, so we can sum this up. Measure 2 was 130. Measure 3, 130. 4 is 50. 5 is 50. 6 is 130. 7 is 130. And 8 is 50. And these are all in degrees.